Okay, let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of a parallel universe. What if two of the biggest rivals in the tech world, Apple and Google, actually decided to team up? We're going to dive into a potential partnership that could completely change the phone you're holding right now and maybe the entire tech industry with it.
Yeah, just think about that for a second. The core AI brain inside your next iPhone could be made by Google. It sounds totally wild, right? But according to a bombshell new report, this isn't just a hypothetical. It's a very real possibility that's on the table. So, how in the world did we even get here? Well, it all kicked off with one single report that basically sent a massive jolt through the entire tech community.
And here it is, the heart of the story, coming from Bloomberg News. Apple is apparently in active talks, early stages, but still active, to license Google's incredibly powerful Gemini AI model. And the whole point? To use it as the new engine for a completely reimagined, souped-up version of Siri.
And you know, this isn't just some tech blogger rumor. The second this news dropped, Wall Street lit up. Both Google's and Apple stocks jumped. That tells you that the people with the money see this as a potential game changer, a huge win for both companies. For them, it's not about the rivalry, it's about business.
But this whole thing brings up a massive question, doesn't it? Why on earth would Apple, the company that's famous for building everything themselves in-house, even think about using a rival's tech? Well, the answer can be summed up in one word: Siri.
Look, Siri was an absolute pioneer. It promised us this future where we could just talk to our phones and they'd do anything. But let's be honest, as most of us have probably experienced, the reality has fallen a little short. You compare it to Google Assistant or Alexa, and Siri has just always had a tougher time with those more complicated multi-part commands. It just feels the step behind.
And it's not like they haven't been trying. Apple has been working hard on a huge Siri overhaul that was actually supposed to come out last spring. But then reports started surfacing about engineering setbacks that pushed the whole project back by at least a year. So the bottom line is, Apple's internal fix just isn't ready, and the clock is ticking. You know, this whole Siri struggle really just points to a much bigger issue for Apple. This isn't just about a voice assistant anymore. This is about Apple's place in the single most important tech race happening right now: generative AI. To put it bluntly, Apple is playing catch-up. I mean, its biggest rivals in the smartphone space, Samsung and Google, they've already started rolling out these powerful generative AI features on their phones, everything from crazy advanced photo editing to real-time translation. And honestly, that gap is becoming pretty obvious. While other companies are shipping these cool new AI features, Apple is seen as falling behind. And for a company that literally built its entire brand on being the leader, on being the innovator, being seen as behind is a massive problem. So, let's say your own AI solution is delayed, and you're falling behind in this critical race. What do? Well, you start looking for a partner. And in this crazy scenario, that perfect partner just happens to be your #1 rival. This quote from the report is so important. It highlights that Apple was the one to start this conversation. They recently approached Google. That signals a real sense of urgency inside Apple. They know they need to get a powerful new Siri ready for next year, and they're willing to make a big move to do it. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Google isn't the only name on Apple's shopping list. The report also says Apple has talked with other big AI players, like OpenAI, the folks behind ChatGPT, and Anthropic, who made Claude. So what does that tell you? It tells you Apple is strategically hunting for the absolute best tech they can find to leapfrog the competition. So, with all that said, where does this leave us? I mean, the idea of an Apple-Google team-up is just fascinating to think about, but it's really important to remember that this is far from being a done deal.
The crucial thing to keep in mind for now is that these are just talks. Nothing is set in stone. Apple is apparently still weeks away from making a final call, and that decision could go a few ways. They could partner with Google, they could go with another company, or they could decide to just double down and stick with their own in-house stuff after all.
And all of that leaves us with this one final gigantic question. If this deal actually happens, it would be a seismic shift in the tech world. It would redefine what competition even means and change the devices we all use every single day. So, what happens when tech's biggest rivals decide it's better to work together than to fight? That's a story we are definitely going to be watching.